From a practical standpoint, the Google Ad Grant isn't just a one-time $10,000 donation. It works out to $329 a day that you can use to promote your nonprofit. But many organizations struggle to spend even 5% of the Google Ad Grant. They have the fuel, they don't know how to start the engine. After working with hundreds of nonprofits, we've noticed that a low spend isn't usually caused by a lack of effort, but rather it's a lack of strategy and alignment with how Google Ads works. Remember, the ad grant isn't just a donation, it's a tool, and tools need direction. If there's one thing you take away from this video, I hope it's this. The point of the Google Ad Grant is not just to spend $10,000, it's to spend $10,000 strategically, in a way that actually helps people find you and support your mission. I'm Jessica from Getting Attention, and today I want to show you why this happens and what actually fixes it. Quick note before we go deeper, this video is really intended for people who already have the ad grant and can maybe open it up and follow along in their own screen. If you're brand new to the ad grant, we actually have a great walkthrough video that I will link that can help you get started. Before we fix your spend, you first have to understand why most nonprofits only spend about 5% of their Google Ad Grant. It's almost always caused by one of these three patterns. First, nonprofits operate their ad grants without a strong enough conversion strategy. They're kind of treating the grant like a billboard, but they aren't thinking about the fact that Google prides itself on being a results engine, not a visibility engine. If you haven't told Google what a win looks like or what conversion you want to happen from people clicking on your ads, whether that's a volunteer sign up, whether that's a donation, then Google won't know who your best audience is. It's like having a car, but not really having a destination in mind. Second, we see a lot of organizations use a keyword in their ads that doesn't appear anywhere on their landing pages. Lastly, many accounts are not operating with the right settings, which affects their bid strategy. Many Google Ad Grant accounts are set up with manual bidding and some restrictive settings that limit the possibility for the account to perform and makes it a lot harder to take advantage of that full $10,000. It's easy to look at those three pieces, the strategy, the keywords, the settings, and to feel totally overwhelmed. But we're going to break it down piece by piece, starting with your conversion strategy. When nonprofits think about the Google Ad Grant, too often they start with, how can I make it get more donations? But that's kind of approaching it backwards. What we really want to start with is, how can I find people who are searching for things that are relevant to my nonprofit right now? Google really wants to bring in people based on their keywords that they typed in and what that search intent indicates. So the more that you can align those two things, the better your ad grant is going to perform. Let's back up first and just even define what a keyword is. When someone searches for something on Google, they type that word or that phrase into the search bar. That is a keyword. There can be short tail ones like restaurants open now, and then there can be long ones like Italian restaurants with a romantic atmosphere open on Tuesdays. Many nonprofits start with their name as their first keyword, and that can be a good place to start. It helps build brand awareness and it helps establish a high CTR for your account. But if you want to spend that $10,000 strategically, we want to go a little further than that. Aligning your conversion strategy with your keywords is super important. So that plays into search intent. Basically, we want to think about, when someone's making this search, what are they trying to find? What are they intending to find? And we want to make sure we're supplying them with that. And that's the basic strategy here. Once you have your keywords in your account, you have to tell Google how you want it to treat them. So we achieve this by using keyword match types. There are 3 different keyword match types, and we're going to run through all 3 of those one by one. The first type is exact match. So you put the keywords in brackets like this when you type it into Google, and it tells Google, only show my ads if somebody has typed in exactly this keyword. No plurals, no typos, nothing like that. That's going to be the most relevant, so it often has a high CTR, but the trade-off is that it has a very low search volume comparatively. If you rely on that alone, you might struggle to spend that full $10,000 each month. The second type is phrase match. You show Google that you want to use phrase match by putting your keyword in quotes. What that does is it allows words to appear maybe on the front end or the back end of the keyword. It's not as tight as exact match, which can be a good balance of safety and volume, but it doesn't quite get you as much results as the third type. The third type is broad match. So to put that into Google, you just type it in. You don't add any extra symbols or like quotation marks, nothing like that. This tells Google, find me anyone searching for any topic that is related or relevant to this topic. And that is one of the best ways to make sure that you are spending that full $10,000 each month. But how do we even know what keywords should be included in our ads? This is going to bring us to our quality score. So Google gives every single one of your keywords a score between 1 and 10. That score is a composite of a couple of different metrics. So the first is your expected click-through rate. This is an estimate of how many people who are shown your ads are likely to click on it and go to your website. The second is your ad relevance. So does the ad that you're showing actually match this keyword that the person searched? The third is landing page experience. So what does the user encounter when they actually land on your website? Does it load slowly? Is it confusing? Is it just one giant donate button with no meaningful content? If you have a high quality score, Google sees your ads and landing pages are relevant to what the user is searching and is much more likely to show your ads and show them at a favorable cost per click, which means that ad grant budget can stretch a lot further. You can use the quality score diagnostic tool to check once a week or so and identify where it might be beneficial to improve your ads, your landing page, or your keyword selection. If somebody searches something like helping a friend with the flu, and your ad leads to a blog post called How to Help a Sick Friend, Google really likes that because it shows that you are addressing what the user is searching for. And that person may go on to read more of the content on your website and possibly sign up for your newsletter or make a donation. Basically, the fundamental shift that we're trying to make is from thinking about the ad grant purely as a way to get seen and rather as a goal-driven machine. The reason we do that is because Google uses your conversion data to figure out who your best audience is. A really common misconception that people have is that your keywords alone dictate who comes to your site. But what Google's actually looking for in the long term is who took the conversions that you asked it to find. That's how it determines your audience. Your keywords help guide it in the initial run, and then once it finds that successful conversion data, Google's going to double down and serve your ads to more of that type of audience. So we've talked a little bit about the importance of defining your goals and the importance of your keyword selection. Now I want to spend a little time chatting about why your website is so important for the Google Ad Grant. If your ad is making a promise, Google wants to see that your website is delivering on that promise immediately. And that's where your landing page experience comes in. In Google Ads, they are thinking about the destination of your ads as the kind of primary experience that the user is having. So if that destination is confusing, if it doesn't load very quickly, if it's not aligned with the ad at all, Google is going to view that really negatively and is going to be less likely to show your ads and your landing pages in favor of a different advertiser. When users click and bounce immediately because, what they were looking for is not what was on your landing page, your quality score drops. Your ads aren't going to disappear overnight or anything like that, but they might get deprioritized in favor of somebody who Google believes is more relevant. Luckily, Google doesn't leave you in the dark about what's required to have a successful website to support a Google Ad Grant. So we're going to run through the website requirements really quick. First, you need to own your domain and you need your website to be secure. So what that means is that your website needs to be secured with what's called a secure sockets layer, HTTPS. If Google sees a not secure on your website, it's not going to send people there and, for example, invite them to make a donation. They want to see that data is being managed securely at every point. The majority of your ad grant ads should also run directly to your domain. So a common thing that nonprofits will try is running ads, let's say, directly to their fundraising platform or to their ticketing software. Unless you have specifically asked Google to run things to more domains, you need to stick to your primary domain. The next thing that's important for your website is to have unique, mission-relevant content. So Google wants to see that there is stuff on your website that is worth promoting. But what does that mean in practical terms? It means that you need to have distinct pages that you can run ads to. Your regular, just sort of homepage, about us page, programs pages need to feature enough information that users can tell a little bit about who you are and what you do. And then ideally on top of that, you would have some educational posts on your website that talk about the cause that you are helping address. So for example, if you are a hunger organization, right? How many people in your area are needy and that you support? That sort of information is helpful both for the user and to build Google's knowledge of what your website is about. One extra tip about landing pages, it's really important for the keyword that you want to show up on to appear somewhere on your landing page, ideally in multiple spots. Again, those headings, the text of the page, maybe even in links or in the captions of images. The last thing you want to be thinking about on every web page on your website is what is the action that you want people to do once they've landed there. You should call it out pretty explicitly because when website users aren't given a clear call to action, they will either leave or potentially just not engage at that highest level that you're looking for. The more that people engage on your website, the higher your conversion rate gets in Google Ads, which is a good sign to Google that you are an advertiser that they should show more often. So you're more likely to increase that ad spend, get more clicks, and of course, the most important thing, get more conversions from your ads. So those are kind of the website things that you should be keeping in mind. If you have been watching this and you're thinking to yourself, I actually don't know if my website stacks up, you can grab the free checklist that we have linked in the bottom in the description. The other thing that's important to help Google connect the dots is your bid strategy. One of the most important settings in a Google Ad Grant account is using the right bid strategy, and we always recommend maximize conversions. Here's why that maximize conversions setting is so important. If we were running a normal Google Ads account, Google would let you offer your own bid. So that would mean that you could tell Google, hey, a click to this keyword is worth this amount to me, let's say 50 cents, $1. And every time your ad was shown, Google would say, okay, we're gonna charge someone, let's say $1 for that click. You can imagine that with a $10,000 per month ad grant, without any sort of limitations on the account, people could run wild. People could bid $500 just to ensure that they show up on a keyword. Google didn't want that, so it set a $2 bid cap, meaning that if you as the advertiser say a click on this is worth this to me, Google won't let you go higher than $2. The reason that that matters is that in certain keyword spaces, $2 per click just may not be that competitive. So by using maximize conversions, we're kind of switching things up. The way that maximize conversions works is it takes the bidding power out of your hands, puts it in Google's hands with its machine learning and kind of AI tools. The reason we actually like that is because Google is not afraid of itself abusing its own system, so it is going to bid what it thinks it needs to make your ads eligible. Now, if you're wondering, the way that you improve that bid is through that relevance and keyword stuff that I was mentioning earlier. But what this does is it keeps you in the running, it keeps the ad grant system from being abused, and it lets you ramp up your account from, let's say, $10 a day to that $329 a day that we're looking for. Switching your technical settings to maximize conversions isn't some magic wand. It's not going to perfectly overcome a terrible website, but it is going to unlock the full kind of power that you can put towards that ad grant. So with maximize conversions, you may be thinking, okay, but how do I know what conversions I should set up? Like, is a page view enough? The answer is not really. Ideally, we want to set up enough conversions that we are actually teaching Google what those most important actions that you can drive to your website are. You might want to incorporate a few easy actions like a page view or maybe a few minutes spent on a page just to make sure that Google casts a wide enough net. But generally speaking, part of that conversion strategy is making sure you are teaching Google that it needs to find people who are going to take those most important actions. We recommend either using Google Tag Manager or maybe Google Analytics as that way to pass that data back and forth. One other sneaky issue that we sometimes see in nonprofits' Google Ad Grant campaigns is that nonprofits set their budget a little bit too low. I think there's a couple of reasons they're doing this. Maybe sometimes it's bad math. Maybe they're worried about spending the ad grant too quickly. Another common misconception people have is that if they overspend the grant, that they have to pay Google something back. That's not true, and Google paces out your spending over the month. So really, it makes sense to just open up the floodgates and set those budgets to $329 a day. Before we wrap up, let's talk a little bit about what you need to do to keep that ad grant safe and keep it flowing every single month. So there are a couple of big requirements that Google has to make sure that you continue to have access to that ad grant money. The first one is you need to have at least a 5% click-through rate. So that means at least 5% of the people who see your ad need to click on it. That's where that importance of the keyword strategy and search intent comes together. The next thing you want to do is you also need to make sure that you have at least one meaningful conversion, so it can't just be a page view, in your account every single month. That is kind of the other sneaky advantage to using maximize conversions. You are already telling Google, hey, get me some conversions each month. So as long as you've set them up correctly and you have them occurring on your site, you should hit that requirement no problem. For many organizations, keeping the ad grant running month to month can be just another thing to add to the to-do list, right? Between running programs, fundraising, reporting, just running day-to-day operations, there often isn't time to live inside a Google Ad Grants dashboard, and that's totally understandable. Some nonprofits do choose to manage the grant in-house, and that can be a really good choice for, let's say, people with large teams, or conversely, maybe really small teams who kind of have to bootstrap everything. Others may decide to bring in some support because they want some help in keeping things compliant, consistent, optimized, and aligned with their mission. And that is the role we play. We help nonprofits get the grant, use it sustainably without it becoming another full-time job. If you've been stuck with low spend, or if one part of Google Ads just never quite clicks, take a look at the links to our blog and leave a comment below. Tell us what you're working on, tell us where you're getting stuck. If you want a second set of eyes to take a look at your Google Ad Grant account, you can book a consultation with our Google Ad Grant experts using the link below. And if this video was helpful, please consider subscribing. We are building out this channel to make search engine marketing more achievable, more accessible for nonprofits of every size. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next video. I'm Jessica from Getting Attention, and today let's do another game. Okay, I was like, what's the next line?